show says in everybody. And when it rears its ugly head, we're all quick to point the finger at the other person and to defend ourselves as I don't and I never would and I'm above it, where it's part of the human experience. It's part of human existence. People...
So what are you saying?
But it shouldn't be on the level that Imus is speaking. It shouldn't be there. There's a responsibility that comes across when he was originally given that 2-week suspension. Yeah. In my mind, that's like a tease. It's like the football season ends, 2 weeks later is the Super Bowl. Puts a thirst in people's mouths. So people would even want to hear him more than they did before after those 2 weeks. They'd be waiting to see what happened at that meeting he's having with the players.
If you go in to see a slasher movie and you come out and cry that there was too much blood, whose fault is it for going into the slasher movie?
So you're saying that with Imus, his listeners should expect that he would make bigoted remarks and racist remarks?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying he has a history of doing that for 40 years, and I think that this... just like Anna Nicole's baby, is taking us away from the real people we should be thinking about. Alberto Gonzalez! Why isn't he fired?
Well, he's coming out.
Wait a second, let me ask you this. We always talk about holding two thoughts at the same time, two opposing thoughts at the same time, two conflicting thoughts at the same time. Why can't we think about both? Why can't we think about stomping on racism and people who make those remarks on a public platform?
Because one is an entertainer and the other is the head of the judicial branch of democracy.
But he's being treated that way.
The only show that's actually holding two thoughts at any one time seems to be you guys.
That's right,
Rose.
Bravo, Rose.
You guys are doing the back and forth. There does not seem to be, it's wall-to-wall coverage of, I watched the news actually last night, and I was hoping to see something, just maybe 12 seconds on Iraq. No, it was Anna Nicole Baby Daddy, and it was Don Imus, and then I think there was lunchtime facelift, and then the weather.
Yes.
And that was it. And it actually almost made me cry because of it.
All the troops, 140,000 troops, their tours were extended for 3 more months. Yes. Does anyone care that these 145,000 men and women will be risking their lives for 3 more months, or do you care more about what Don Imus says in the morning?
They do care. It's just that what can you do? You can talk about this more than that. Those
Especially
guys,
if you're a Black American.
I've been reading now that a lot of these guys who have 3 tours to do, they come back home and they don't go back. They're going AWOL. There's a lot of that going on right now.
Because it's a backdoor draft. Well, that's what it is.
You can't get out. Because, well, I think because they know they're not really, oh, really? You're going to get off in January, 2008? No. They all know that's maybe not true. I was gonna say,
Right.
But I think, the thing with... What's really interesting about this particular war, this is the first time in history, there are no pictures of any bodies coming home in coffins. There is no flag-draped coffin. We see no images. The British press give celebrities hell. Horrible. But one thing they do not print the regurgitated crap that the government spins on the front page and just lets it out. They actually say, this is right, and it could have been Clinton, because they know that's not true. No, this is true.
The British press, really?
They really take them to task. They really take their politicians to task. They do not do that if they hear, oh, okay, really? Thank you, because basically you're controlling the entire media by saying we're not going to allow you to have any photographs of it. So in actuality, yes, we're talking about Don Imus, but then she's talking about that, but it's kind of maybe the only airing that they get per day, that there's a representation of them over there.
I tend to hear about the war in the media. I tend to see it on the news, and I tend to read about it in the paper.
But you see the pro-war news on Fox.
Absolutely not. That is, first of all, that is, although I am a fan of Fox News Channel, hang on, hold up. I would just the yellow flag. That is not the only news channel that I watch.
Okay,
I watch
where else do you see the news talked about? What the war talked about in a current...
CNN, MSNBC. I read a plethora of newspapers.
Have you seen any wounded soldiers? Have you seen any of the amputees on TV on a regular basis or once?
You see them in Newsweek or Time.
You see them on specials more than every time.
Do you remember when Ted Koppel read the names of the dead and he was in trouble for reading the names of the dead? He was the first and the bravest journalist here on this network to actually say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to read the names.
Repression by the administration.
And it's still here, Joy. That's my point.
If we get back to, for a moment, though, you're talking about these troops.
We're going to come back. We're going to come back and talk about that, and we're going to show you a clip from Grindhouse, because...
More importantly, because I am the best amputee ever.
She is in this movie, and we're going to talk about that right after this, so don't go away.